The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Joyful Pouring with April. If you haven't seen any of my past episodes, you can go back on YouTube at ECAT's YouTube channel and see my previous episodes. This is a show all about fluid art and the different ways that fluid art can be done. In some past episodes, we've talked about how to mix your paints, the consistency of your paints, how thin or thick they are. We've talked about the opacity of paints, meaning whether they're transparent or opaque. We've talked about the density, how much paints weigh. Some weigh more than others based on the pigments that are in them. And we've talked about how to layer your paints to make sure that paints that are more transparent don't get covered by paints that are more opaque. We've also touched on different techniques, and every technique is fun in its own way. We did straight pours, we've done flip cups, we've done ring pours and Dutch pours and an open cup pour. And then on the last episode, we did something called puddle pours that we wrecked, and that was really fun. I will show you examples of what we did on the last show, or the paintings that we did, because I think that they came out really, really well. We also talked about different tools that you can use when pour painting or doing fluid art. Last time we used a marble and a skewer to wreck our puddles. And in the past, I've used things like a colander, a bottle bottom, palette knives, balloons, something called a split cup, which is a cup with a split in the middle, and anything else you can think of, a comb, you can use in fluid art to make different designs and patterns and just have fun with your art. This episode, we're going to do another very cool technique, but we're really going to talk about add-ins to your paint to make different reactions to get the look that you want. So there's lots of different add-ins for fluid art. Today, in my paints, I added in a satin enamel. And what the enamel does is it acts in a way where it pushes away the acrylic paint and causes formations that look like clouds. And this is called a cloud pour, and it's very cool. There's many different ways you can do it. Today we're just going to do it as a straight pour, just so you can see the reaction that it makes. But other things you can mix in with your paints to make reactions are water, gloss mediums, crackle paste, gloss paste, gel paste, gloss varnish, Australian Floetrol, glue, spray paint, glitter, pigment powders. There's all kinds of things you can mix in with your paints to make them have a desired effect. So I want to show you the paintings that we did on episode 5. These were the puddle pours. And if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's really, really fun. We used some nice fall colors. This is the first one. This was done with a marble. So we puddled the paints and then rolled a marble through the paints. And I think it came out really, really cool. The colors are very vibrant. And I love the blue in the background. It almost looks like a blue sky with the fall colors in front. And then this was the second one. This was a puddle pour that we used a skewer to make lines into the puddles, back and forth and up and down, and then stretched it out. This looks a little bit like fall leaves. It's got some really, really bright colors that are just super fun in person. I also put a coat of gloss varnish on these so that they're really shiny. And you can put any kind of varnish on your paintings that you want when you're done. You can use gloss, you can use matte, you can use semi-gloss, you can use resin, you can use a spray varnish, whatever you want to use to get the desired effect that you like to see in finished works of art. So today we're going to do something called a cloud pour, as I said, and this is an example of a cloud pour. And you can see that, I actually like this orientation, but you can see this effect here where it looks like clouds in the painting. And this is caused by the reaction between the satin enamel and the acrylic paint. So we're going to have some fun doing this today. We're not doing these exact colors. I chose a color palette that I felt like really would stand out in some contrasting colors. And then, so for the cloud mix, it is a white paint, and it's on the medium thickness side. All of the paints are of a medium thickness, and you can see how it just runs right off the stick there, okay? And it is mixed with satin enamel. So it's it's Deco Art American Decor satin enamel. And it's really important that this is the one that is used if you want to do this particular technique. This is mixed half and half with Artist Loft Soft Body White. It comes in a bigger bottle, and for some reason, the reaction between those two products causes this to happen. You'll mix those 50-50 and then double that mixture with Floetrol. So it's like a 1-to-1 and then a 1-to-1. So 2 parts Floetrol to the 1-to-1 of the other 2. And then you can add water just for the consistency that you want. My other paints are mixed, my standard mix, which is 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol, and then I've added in some gloss medium and something called GAC 800. This is a product that helps the paint be more elastic to help prevent cracks. And the gloss medium will make the paints shiny and glossy when they dry. I just did a generous squirt of each. There's no like real mixture, like measurement, just enough to give it a little bit of gloss as it dries. And so all these paints are mixed with that. We've got this nice little peachy orange. This is Naples Yellow Red by Amsterdam. And then we've got another nice fall color here. This is Naples Yellow Deep by Amsterdam. Again, you can see the consistency just kind of falls in the cup. And then we have 2 other colors. These are Liquitex colors. This is Light Blue Violet. Again, one of my favorite colors. I think we used it last time. And this is a Magenta by Liquitex. And I'm not really sure how to say the name, but I want to say quinacridone magenta. And it's just a nice, vibrant magenta color. And then I always have to have a metallic, so I've got gold, and this is 24 karat gold by Deco Art Metallics. This is another paint brand that adds some fun reactions to your paints or your paintings. So those are the colors we're going to use. Now, I forgot to bring a cup to layer my paints in. So I was gifted this coffee mug to layer my paints in. I'm sorry you won't be able to see the layers, but you'll get the general idea. Now, as always, the first color you put in the cup is going to be the last color out. So I want the yellow to be the last color out. I want that to be the vibrant color in the middle. So I'm going to put that one in my cup first. Just going to run it along the side. And then I want my orange next. I want them together. And then I'm going to add my cloud mixture. You want to add your cloud mixture in between 2 or 3 layers, and just a small amount. You don't want it to take over the painting. And then because I want my clouds to be lined with gold, I'm going to do the gold next. You know that silver lining thing in the clouds? Mine is a gold lining. And then I'm going to go next with my magenta. And then my blue violet. And then some more cloud mix. Then I'm going to go back to my yellow. We're going to do the same order until the paints are gone. Add that gold. Don't add a ton of gold. Gold has a tendency to take over. It's okay that it's dripping on the canvas. We're going to cover it anyway. A layer of white, magenta, and our gold. Okay, this will probably be the last layer. I'm not going to add my cloud mix in here because this layer is actually probably going to get tipped off of the canvas because these will be the first ones out. All right, so now we've got our mixed paints in the cup, or our layered paints in the cup. And I'm going to do something called a straight pour, which is literally what it sounds like. I'm just going to pour the paint straight on the canvas. But before I do that, I'm going to put my apron on so I don't get my clothes dirty. All right. Okay, and I have my canvas on a spinner so that as I pour the paint, I can spin it just a little bit to add a different angle. All right, so here we go. And a straight pour is what it sounds like. I'm just gonna pour it right straight on without doing anything funny. The paint itself will do its own thing. Okay, now I'm gonna turn a little bit here, and you can already see the clouds starting to form. And I'm gonna spin it again. Now I'm probably gonna have a little too much paint on this canvas, but that's okay. I'd rather have too much than too little. Okay, one more spin. You can see the different colors as they come out. Now if you want the colors to be a little bit broader, you go closer to the canvas, which I'm doing now, and you can see that yellow, the one I wanted to be the last color out. Just gonna spin it again, and I'm just gonna straight pour this on. All right. Okay, the hardest part is the end there. Yeah, I got a little drip in there. That's okay. All right, now you can see how pretty that looks already, and you can see some clouds already starting to form over here. And how pretty this orange looks, I don't want to get rid of that on the canvas. I'm going to try to preserve that piece of it. There are a few bubbles, so I have my trusty torch, and you can use this to get bubbles out. You don't want to go too close to the paint. You don't want to set your paint on fire. So you're going to do it just quickly over the paint. Now, right now, it's hard to see the gold. The gold kind of blends in there, but then as you stretch it, and then when it dries, the gold starts to shine, and it shines around the edges, makes these beautiful outlines. All right, so this here already looks so gorgeous. All right, so those clouds are starting to form. I'm gonna try to figure out which way I wanna tip this. Because I want to save this, I'm probably gonna end up going first around to just stretch the paint, and then off probably this side, and that side last. So let's see how we do. There's a little strategy in here. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is just try to stretch it and keep the composition it already has. We're just gonna go in a circle very, very slowly, because you wanna look at it and say, okay, what do I wanna keep? What do I wanna get rid of? And I can already see the gold sparkling in there. Okay, so now I'm starting to get closer to the edges. So I'm gonna take a look at it and think about what I wanna tilt off and what I wanna keep. There's a lot of blue here, so I'm probably gonna tilt off some of that blue. There's a lot of really fun lines here. I don't wanna tilt all that off, and I don't wanna tilt this off. So I'm most likely gonna go this way first, and then we'll go that way last. We'll see, let's see. Sometimes there's guesswork in this. Again, the paint tends to sometimes do what it wants to do and not what I want it to do. I want you to see what I'm doing. Remove that. Okay, we're gonna go that way first. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of paint on the corner here just to help it flow off. Okay. So that I don't lose too much. Okay. All right, come back to the middle. And I'm gonna go completely to the other side here too. Again, just gonna throw some paint on this corner. Getting awful close to losing some of that orange, so we're gonna tip it this way. Okay, back. And this was what I wanted to keep. So I think, let's stretch it this way first. Stretch that out. Okay. Don't worry about the corners. You can always cover those up later. These type of pours are really fun to do on round canvases. Okay. Because there's no corners to cover. All right. My goodness, this is really looking very, very cool. I do wish there was a little more magenta, but I'm happy with the yellow and the orange. Okay. Now we want to cover that corner over there. See if I have more paint, I can help it out. Okay, here it comes. And you can see those clouds forming. There's a whole bunch up here by this corner. All right, now, I love the lines in this. Okay, so I want that yellow to be a little closer to the middle. So we're gonna come in this way. My goodness, this looks like a sunburst or something, like just very, very cool. All right, I think that's pretty good for the tilting there. And now I'm going to put it down and just really take a look at the painting itself and decide, do I want it to be tilted in another direction? Do I want to add some little lines in it? Do I feel like there's too much of one color somewhere? This is the point where you just set it down, take a look at it, and figure out what else you want to do. Or if you just want to leave it and fill in some of the gaps with paint and a paintbrush later. These clouds just keep forming, and they will keep forming as it dries. I'd like to bring them a little bit more towards the middle. Oops. Looks like a storm. Okay. You've got like the swirling here. It almost looks like from looking up above at a hurricane coming in. You've got your clouds here and here. There's small ones in here, and those clouds will get bigger as it dries. So you want to keep that in mind too, that the clouds will get bigger as it dries and as the paint pushes it away. This is one of those kind of paintings that develops over time. So it can look like this now, and tomorrow it may look completely different. The colors will still be great, but there may be less lines. The gold will be more prominent. Colors that are more dense will sink into the colors that are less dense. So sometimes you have this with all these vibrant colors, and then the next day you look at it and you've lost some of the colors because as it was drying, those heavier colors sunk into the less heavy colors, which is why it's super important to know the densities of your paint so you don't lose colors that you want to keep. This is really cool. I am not going to do anything to change this right now. I think it just looks like a sunrise with a chaotic, I don't know, vortex. But that's how you do a cloud pour. If you enjoyed this painting and you'd like to see me do more or see more of my work, you can look me up on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all under Joyful Pouring by April. And you can also go back and watch my older episodes on ECAT and learn some things. But until next time, I hope you have a joyful day.